the third session of the day, which is going to be delivered by our lovable HOD, Dr. Vilas Shinde sir. The name itself does not require any kind of introduction. It is a well-known name in Mumbai University. He achieved many milestones in his life. He completed his B from Nagpur University, completed ME, that is Masters of Engineering from Vijay College, which is a well-reputed college. As far as the PhD is concerned, he's completed his PhD in 2010 from Sardar Patel College of Engineering. If I try to recollect all the things, the day will come to the end. So kind of achievement he has achieved in his life. Still, I will focus on some of them. He has a total 27 years of experience, the huge amount of experience in administration as well as in teaching. He has he was the controller of examination for the Mumbai University. He was principal at NITM College at Thane. He was the director and the principal at Barshi College in Solapur district. He was the director at Amity University. Under the huge experience of his life, he guided many of the students for the PhD as well as the ME. He has lot of number of international as well international paper on his life in his life. Right now he has a treasurer of III Mumbai chapter and also working as a head of the department of mechanical engineering at Datta Meghe College of Engineering. Now I am requesting our beloved HOD sir for the third session of the day, that is topic. He is going to be delivering a lecture on examinations and evaluation effective journey. He is going to be exploring more about the COVID-19 area as far as the examination is concerned. So I am handing over the mic to our beloved HOD sir. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dheeraj, for my small introduction. Actually, there was no need to introduction, but it is a difficult situation because this session was up to 2 o'clock. That is the Ashish Agrawal sir. It is some kind of request from the students also as far as this COVID-19 situation examination is concerned. And then I thought that I have to, in the night when I got the call from Ashish Agrawal sir, and he said that, doctor, I cannot spare more than half an hour because of this assignment of AICT. And then suddenly I thought that why not I have to speak on this particular examination and evaluation effectiveness as a journey. And my earlier presentation when I used to, during my earlier assignment as a control of examination, I just modify it in a night and I thought that I will speak to the people. So with the permission of all the delegates, I will start my presentation. It is more about the journey of the evaluation and examination effectiveness is concerned. And of course, I will finally come to the point where you are very much eager as far as your COVID-19 situation is concerned, because we are just waiting from the circular of our principal sir as far as the execution is concerned, but the university and UGC has already given the circular. So the topic is this, the examination and evaluation effectiveness as journey. If you look into the kind of the Indian trends where the population of the India in the year right from 2000 to 2020, and along with that the percentage increase by virtue of its population. If you look at the population increase as far as the legacy is concerned, that ratio in 2020 is 3.45, in 2007 2.41, 2015 6.50, 2010 7.04, 2005 7.94, and 2001 1.86. So it is a little bit here and there. So average rate of increase in population is 1.17. The age categories are that is 15 to 19 is 9.7 and 20 to 24 is 8.7. Why I am showing this? Because this is the age where the people are entering into the higher education. So when they are completing their 10th standard or 12th standard, they are coming into the higher education mode, and their particular the percentage of the age group is 9.7 and 8.7 in the higher education. Next, the literacy rate of education, which was in 2001, which is shown on this particular slide. I will not go into the detail of this, but the figures are little bit figures are little bit from the urban area, as well as in the rural areas also, and whatever the states which are there in the our Indian jurisdiction, that all have covered in this. Then I will talk about the examination system in India. The examination system compels students to do the direction of scoring the marks. Basically, when you are talking about the examination, there is a phobia in the student's mind, and that is about the scoring of marks. So we are not evaluate the students by their performance, actual performance, but we are evaluating them by the scoring of the marks. The backbone of any course is preconceived for the concept of getting and ended up in the examination. So I mean to say, we are going to start some course. If you are taken it for any particular things, either diploma, PG diploma, or even for the probably a small kind of diploma or certification program, that is also goes in the same mode. There is no solution or policy as of now which have been introduced which can evaluate the students merit except examinations. Students are encouraged to follow the trend strictly, gain marks, hence provoke them not to be a learner but a scorer. And that's why we used to say that स्टूडेंट्स क्या करते हैं, तो रात में मगअप करते हैं और दिन में जाके आंसर पेपर पे और आंसर स्क्रिप्ट पे ओमिट करते हैं, और एट द एंड of examination or at the end of their degree, if we'll ask them what is mechanical engineering or what is industrial engineering, so only few of them can answer of this kind of questions. And that's why the dedication and devotion of the students in the learning process is very much important. Examination systems needs an overhauling. I always says that because it's a continuous process. So overhauling of the examination system is very much required. I will give the little bit comparison between the examination versus evaluation. So what is called as the evaluation and what is called as the examination. See, examination responds to the questions. Examinations responds to the questions, whereas the evaluation is judgment about the answers. Examination process of performance, and here we have to assessment of performance, exploring the skill and objective that we have to do in the examination, whereas in the evaluation process we have to process of measuring the skill and realization of objectives, understanding of course, and here estimation of understanding. Because in the examination process we have to understand about the course, what are the content of course, how to mug up that and how to explore about it, whereas in the evaluation process we have to estimate our understanding about the particular program, about the particular content or module of the course. Here it's a knowledge of course, but in the evaluation we have to have a diagnostic approach where we have to diagnostic the decision, and that's why the evaluation is more effective. The examinations consist of three components of equal importance in the examination, that is the history, the systems review, the test and measures. Whereas in this particular evaluation process we have a challenge to evaluate knowledge, component of teaching learning process, and goals of curriculum accomplishment. So that is very important, and that's why the evaluation process is very important as far as our higher education is concerned. Now there are certain kind of reforms in the examination, and that's why I have given the name to this particular presentation as a journey. So if you look at this particular slide, if you look at this particular slide, there are these are the historical perspective, and there are so many commissions which have been established at the higher education for his journey, for his accomplishment, for his enhancement, and whatever is there in the every plan commission by the UGC. Now, there was a commission in 1882 that is called as the Hunter Commission. Now, from that Hunter Commission in 1929, we have jumped into the Hartong Commission. Then, in 1917, there was a Sadler Commission. In 1944, there is a Sargent Plan. In 1948-49, that is during our independence of the India, University Commission, because university has established, or Indian University has established in that particular year only. Then there was a Mudliar Commission in 1952-54. Then Education, National Policy of Education, that is in 1964-66. Then 1979 and 86, it has been reviewed. And then Ramamurthy Committee in 1990. In 2008, there was a UGC 11 plan, and by the National Knowledge Commission as National Education Plan in 2010, 2016, and right now we are in the plan of 2019 National Education Policy. But as far as my knowledge is concerned, we have not even implemented a complete 100% plan of NPE, that is the National Education Policy of 2019. Now, there are certain important steps which I would like to explore, that is in the examination. Reforms is nothing but the transformation. That's why the reforms are very important in the examination, because it is not a reforms, it is nothing but the transformation. And when you are looking at this transformation can be defined as it's a comparison of past, present, and future. It's a collection of data or information. It's an analysis of data and information, and application of various kind of methodologies as far as the transformation is concerned. Then when you are going to this about 3-4 points, there is a question, and for that, to resolve that question, you have to validate the results, and finally you are coming to the conclusion. So this is transformation is nothing but the basically a research kind of process. Whatever you are doing in the research, that same thing you have to do in this reforms, which is nothing but the transformation. Of course, there are quality concepts, because we are listening the deliberation on the quality concept from various stalwarts, right from Dr. Mantha sir for our very first day. So quality concepts are very much useful in every aspect of life, and that's why it is also useful in the examination reforms. Then approach through the statutory authorities, because this is the higher education which is to be implemented by the apex bodies like MHRD, UGC, AICT, universities, and that's why government of state, in our state, it is the state government of Maharashtra. So approach to the statutory authorities, because statutory authorities is having that kind of power, that kind of because they are the policy maker, and that's why that is to be flow through them and for the appropriate implementation of it. And then finally compete with the world-class institution, because whenever we are looking at this, if you want to compare yourself as a particular kind of process, as a higher education process, we have to always compare with the global education policy, and that's why there is a different kind of quality assessment or quality evaluation agencies throughout the globe or across the globe. Now, there are some obstacles to reforms, which I face personally, because I was in the particular domain. I work in that domain as a control of examination. Right now also, probably the people, those are in that domain, they are facing this kind of difficulty. So why this obstacle to reforms? There are certain kind of the reasons. First is do not have any state or national boundaries, but it is across the globe. Whenever you are going to reform, whenever you are going to implement, and whenever you are going to compare the policies, then we have to have a understanding about the globe, जिसको बोलते हैं ना अपन दुनिया में क्या चल रहा है. So that दुनिया में क्या चल रहा है, that we have to take into the consideration, and accordingly you have to give a right kind of approach to this. then our educational system is examination is redone. Or when it is redone, then if suppose you are a teacher, you are a student, and you are going to suggest something to the system, system cannot accept because that system is the redone system. Nowadays, there are certain kind of liberty because of the constitution of various representative from the students, from the teachers in the system. Then the results with awards of marks and class, which has become a focus of all stakeholders related to examinations. Probably even today, the people are telling, अरे यार एक मार्क से मेरा क्लास गया है, अरे यार एक मार्क से मेरा ग्रेड गया है, अरे यार एक मार्क से मेरा पॉइंटर गया है. So this all about the rat race, and because of this rat race, this examination system is very redundant. There is no scope for marks or performance improvement, correct? Nowadays, in this particular UGC policy, because of this COVID-19, they have given a liberty to that. But earlier, I won't think that in all the particular kind of examinations, there was liberty to the student to go for the performance improvement. Unfortunately, a large section of the society has got inertia to accept the change. हमको change accept नहीं करना है, हमको जैसा चलाना है वैसा चलाना है. कभी कभी क्या होता है कि if you want to do something differently, you have to take a challenge, you have to accept the challenge. Because I was not aware about it, I never take the kind of lectures on Zoom. But in this COVID-19 period, whatever the invitations I have got from the various institutions and where I have delivered my lectures for them, I have conducted the meetings of my faculty members, I have conducted the meeting of my students on the Zoom platform. Slowly, I learn many things, and I had been to that extent, and I make my courage to understand and take this particular workshop. So that's why whatever the change in the system, that change you have to accept, and according to that change, you have to change yourself. Then you can face the consequences, you can face the challenges, whatever you had. The system has not been clearly spelled out. Many times what happened, if system is having, we can say that sometimes we cannot read between the lines. If suppose we cannot read between the line, then there is a problem. So it is like that only. Most of the stakeholders are inattentive. किसी को किससे पड़ी नहीं है, जो बोलेंगे वो करेंगे और उससे ही सिस्टम चलाएंगे. This attitude is not appropriate in the higher education as far as my knowledge is concerned. Then time is required to prepare the proper guidelines and manual to understand and implement it. And that's why the university system is taking a time to issue the circulars, because now in this COVID-19 situation, if you want to evaluate the performance of the student, whatever the guidelines which is given by the university or UGC, that guidelines are the broad prospects. These guidelines are in a broad perspective. So that broad perspective guideline, when it is coming to the individual, it is coming to the university, then every university is having a different kind of functioning. Autonomous institutions, autonomous universities having a different kind of functioning. And because of that, there should be a preparation of the proper guidelines or manual or notification in this regard. Next, there are some quality principles in examination and evaluation system that I would like to explore before you. When I'm looking into this particular kind of slide, there are quality aspects, and before that quality aspect, we have to look at what is called as quality. Now, in my opinion, quality in education is a product of intensive investment of talent, ideas, research, transparency, hard work, and the best practices. So when you want to take this all the factor into consideration, just like a research, then and then you can maintain the quality in the education. And best practices is very important in every kind of the era. Second, quality is not a chance, but it's a choice. If you take quality, it is not a chance, it's a choice. So you have to have attitude to choose the choice as a quality. Third, quality is not an accident, but it's a effortful design. If you want to maintain the quality, if you want to enhance the quality, if you want to change or upgrade the quality, you have to take the efforts, and then you can see your next version will be better than the today's version. And that's why the efforts is continuous kind of journey, or it's a continuous process by which you can jump into the quality. Quality is not a destination, but it's a continuous journey. So whenever you have to talk about the quality, when you have to go into the quality, it's not a destination कि आज मैं तो एक lecture Zoom पे ले लिया, मैं बादशाह बन गया. It's not like that, because there are many challenges which are coming into, and when you have to take that challenges, you have to take it as a continuous journey, whatever, because there may be a lot of mistake which I did today. There may be a lot of mistake which I did yesterday. So if suppose I want to change myself, I have to correct myself, I have to accept the suggestions, I have to accept the some kind of remarks from others, accept that, and then you have to go into the continuous journey of the quality. Then quality is not a forceful task, it's a systems need. When we are talking about quality, I cannot force to anyone. I cannot force my faculty, I cannot force my authorities you have to go this way, because everybody is having their own choice. So quality is not a forceful task, but it is required a system needs. If you will not change yourself, if you will not look at this way, quality, you cannot take, you are working in a quality, and you cannot reach to that extent where the quality assurances of the accreditation process or the quality management process that you will accept. So it's a system needs, it's not a forceful task. Reforms is the ultimate solution to enhance the quality in education. Like any area, any sector, in our higher education, there is a ultimate solution in terms of reforms to enhance the quality. And that's why in our teaching learning process also, whatever the lectures you have done today, how that lecture is, instead of giving the feedback, instead of taking the feedback from others, you personally has to look into and try to understand that what you are doing and what will be the quality maintenance or quality enhancement in the higher education. Next, I will, it is about the quality needs no definition. We recognize it when we see. So whenever we can go into the market, whenever we can go to any institution, you will find out there are 4 types of quality considerations. Number 1 is good system, good people. It's ideal situations. In my opinion, I may be wrong, but with my very, I think with my courage, I will make a statement. At this point of time, it is difficult to find out the ideal situation also, even the well-reputed institutions, because of many kind of aspects. We don't want to, or I don't want to go into that aspects, but good system, good people, it's the ideal situation. Good system, bad people, the system is going to be deteriorate. If suppose the system has established very well, and there were a good people, there are good people have gone out or exited, and bad people will come into, the system is going to be deteriorate. When there is a bad system and good people, then there is a hope and scope for improvement. So always we try to maintain, we try to enhance the quality, and we have to hope and scope for the improvement for any kind of system. Then when we look, the 4 aspect is that is called the bad system, bad people, no hope for the improvement. So we have to decide how we are and in which systems we are working. So that is the these are the 4 quality consideration as far as the higher education is concerned. After that, there is a kind of sequential movement from quality control to quality enhancement through reforms in the examinations. So in this, first of all, you have to inspect the system wherever you have to work. Of course, I know that everyone is having restrictions in the system when we are working. We have to follow the kind of the guidelines, kind of the orders, kind of the instructions which we are getting from the hires. So in that case, we don't have a say, but that is not the good system, because the system which is having, everybody is having a right to speak, everybody is having a right to say, everybody is having a right to suggest, and that is called as the harmonious system or the healthy workplace. So first of all, you have to have an inspection of particular system. Then you have to have a quality control. Who is going to change the system? You are going to change the system. That's why you have to have inspector, inspect, then you have to give the quality control aspects to that, then you have to detect that, then quality assurances, then you have to prevent some of the things, and implementation for the reforms, and then there is a continuous kind of improvement to the in the system. So this quality performance and evaluation aspects is that there are certain kind of the quality principles in the examination systems, because we are talking about the examinations. So quality principles in examinations, as if you go into the clockwise direction, there should be a sense of responsibilities. If you don't have a sense of responsibility, then we cannot be a part of the quality principles, and we have to be a as it is whatever we are. Then second thing is that you should have a clear administration and leadership. You could have, or you have to transform yourself in such a manner where there should be a clear cut administration and leadership. Then you have to HR development. HR development is concerned, as far as the HR development is concerned, when I have decided that to take this particular workshop on Zoom, I was little bit scared. I was little bit having a fear. I have taken my team with my confidence, my all faculty member of mechanical department, some of the students of IIIDMC chapter. I have explored my vision before them, and I have given the understanding and what is the, because we have taken the fees 500 rupees from each and every student to make this chapter. Of course, that half of the amount goes to the III and half of the amount goes to this particular chapter, and this amount is for the execution of this kind of process, this kind of the lectures, this kind of the because of this COVID-19 and for your kind information, all the experts have come on this Zoom because of the invitation of my one word. No one has taken a single honorarium from us. It's a total free of cost program for delegates, as well as the honorary talk by all these stalwarts. So thank you so much for all these stalwarts, eminent speaker. So this is called as the HR development, that you have to create, you have to make a rapport with the people, and you have to execute with the right direction, with the right focus, and with the ethical practices, And then there is a training and workshop that we are going to conduct. The recognition, appreciation, and rewards, then teamwork and follow-up. So we are working in the teamwork, and that's why this is going in the right direction. Then we have to take the feedback. If suppose there is something wrong at my end, at my team end, at my organization end, in that case, whatever the feedback which is given by the delegates, that helps us to improve for the next time. Then IT-based solution, which we have to always consider, because right now we are using the IT-based solution only, because we are conducting this session on the online platform. Then problem solving. The problem solving process is a very continuous process, and then we have to take the stakeholders' needs. Probably, if suppose my way of execution or my workshop, which is hosted by me, if suppose like, or it is liked by many people, I have to take their help to make it more informative, and therefore I have taken a help from all the people, my principal, my management, my III office bearer, chairman of the III, and conducted this. So when this process is clear till problem solving, then you can take the stakeholders' help, and their need is required. And then reformation and continuous improvement. So that is one of the important tasks of this. Then if we'll go into the next slide, this is about the quality principles in examination system. So this is about the similar kind of things which I have already explained, but it is in a different 10 principles, that is meeting or exceeding stakeholders' need, continuous improvement through reforms, everyone's job through responsibilities, fair administration and leadership, human resource development in the system, fear reduction through training and workshop, recognition, appreciation, and reward. So yesterday only, when I was telling thank you many times, my wife said that you are taking so much time for repetition. So I said that where I have taken a time in the repetition. So she said that how many times you have tell thank you. So I said that the thank you is the word of wisdom, and whenever my committee, my people are working for me, the people, delegates, students are online, they are listening all of us. So we have to appreciate them and we have to reward them, and that is called as the recognition. So teamwork through continuous follow-up, feedback of evaluation of work which we are taking, systematic problem solving through best practices. So these are, and reforms by using the IT based solutions. So these are the some kind of quality principles in the examination system. Next, this is the kind of 10 steps by Dr. This is the enhancing quality in examination administration. This is the quality principle basically, which is given in any quality book or the quality management book. But I have mapped this in the judgment or the 10 principles, which is given by this the quality management thinker, that is Dr. Joseph M. Juran in 1904-2008. I have mapped with that the indicates mark for shifting from traditional to modern, and that's why I have just taken this as a consideration for reforms in the examination, create awareness for the need and opportunity for improvement. So now this is online opportunity. We have to consider, we have to conduct the online exams, we have to teach the students online. So these all are the opportunities, and that opportunities has created the awareness amongst us. So we have to take it in a right direction and improve ourselves. Set explicit goals for improvement through reforms, because reforms is such a word that is the transformation. So whenever we have to transform ourselves, we have to create some kind of the templates where you have to bullet point you can put the bullet points where you can create a structure, and of course that structures can be applied to the organizational structure later as far as the improvement process is concerned. We have to provide the appropriate training about new system to all the stakeholders. If I am not mistaken, many of the students, many of the delegates, their kids are at home and they're taking the teaching learning on Zoom or the various kind of platforms, because I don't want to take a name because I have to reduce I have to compress the time of my deliberation. So there is a number of the kind of the platforms, those are available, and in every platform, the colleges or the schools are providing the trainings to the students. They are providing the trainings to the they are providing the training to the they are providing the training to the parents also and teachers also. So that is one of the good initiative in this particular pandemic situation of COVID-19. Then we have to adopt the project approach toward the problem solving, identify the report and the progress, recognize and reinforcement the success. We have to communicate the results through various methods, because if suppose we are having a team of 200 people, then it is necessary to inform the results of the kind of the work which you have done. Keep records of change of system. If you don't have a past record, we cannot change. And that's why in the reforms or the transformation process, you require a past, present, and future aspects also. Build an annual improvement cycle into all departmental process. This is the kind of ISOs where the people are doing nowadays in each and every institutions. So you have to build up such a kind of systems where you can every time you have to change process, you have to improve the process, and if at the last this particular 10-step principle, Dr. Juran says that 85% problem due to system failure and 10 to 15% due to individuals, correct? So because sometimes you want to work into the discipline, sometimes you want to work into the particular kind of process, the process has to be defined. And when you are going to define the process, then and then you have to perform well. Now, if you take the example of our attendance system, in our attendance system, everybody has to go to the machine, that is the punching machine, and give the attendance, correct? So the system which is to be established as far as the attendance is concerned, that is for the benefit of the all. But sometimes you have to give the more facility, more visibility to this system also, so that people cannot harass, people cannot embarrass through this particular system. So system failure is 85% and 10 to 15% because of the individual. Next, when you're looking at the stakeholders of the education system, that all statutory authorities, that is UGC, ICT, universities, institutions, and then coming down the teachers, local authorities, employees, students, and then our the stakeholders are industry, society, and parents. So these are the different stakeholders of our education systems. Now, if you look at the very important stakeholders of the education system, and that is the students, because we are getting a salary because of students, and that's why the students is a very, very important stakeholder of these particular systems. So when you can consider this as the student expectation, so in the student expectations, each and every student used to expect that there should be a non-exploitative, non-commercial education. But nowadays it is very difficult to find. That's why I make a question marks before that. Early declaration of result through fair and effective evaluation system. That is also difficult to find out. That's why probably it is in the autonomous institutions, some of the deemed to be universities, some of the private universities, it is possible. But in the conventional system, it is difficult, because even though the college is sending the result to the university, college has prepared the assessment early, but in the university system, the systems are taking much time to send the result with approval back. So this is the kind of the difficulty which we are facing. Transparency by providing the photocopy of answer that is already given. And when I was a control of examination that time, it is fortunate for me, the all people have supported me, and we have started this particular process. That is in probably 2009 or 2008. World-class facilities for producing world-class quality in education. I have given the question mark to this, because if you want to give the world-class facilities and producing the world-class quality education, there are so many kind of difficulties in our conventional system. And that's why nowadays there are so many kind of universities. I don't want to take the name of that universities, but they are flourish with this world-class facilities, because their vision is very, very broad, and there's always thinking with the right direction. Prompt response and problem solving system. We have some kind of system, but that is not to the 100%. That's why I have make one right and one question. Clarity and transparency in the rules and regulation, because it is difficult sometimes to understand by the all stakeholders. So that's why I put one right and one question. Implementation of world-class credit and grade point evaluation system. Even though today on this platform, or even I can say very openly, we have not implemented. Please unmute your mic, madam. Please unmute your mic. So implementation of world-class credit and grading system, even today we have not implemented 100%, and that's why sometimes हम ऐसा ही चलाते हैं, आधा इधर का ना आधा उधर का, and then there is a mess up in the system. As far as the continuous assignment is concerned, we have not jumped into that 100% as far as the continuous assignment is concerned. Then there is a faculty expectation, because secondly the faculty is very important as far as the education or any education, school rahe ya higher education rahe, but faculty is a very important expectation. You can have a big building, you can have a big infrastructure, and you don't have a students and teacher. What will happen? You just take the picture in front of your eyes. So faculty is also a very important. I will say very confidently, for any particular institution to improve the quality, the vision is of management, but at the same time, the faculty contribution is very, very large as far as the quality aspects are concerned. So there are certain expectations from the faculty, the fair and transparent administration, comfort and pleasant work atmosphere, availability of effective teaching aids, training and facility for online teaching, healthy work compensation, world-class facilities for providing world-class quality education, participation in workshop, training and conferences. These all are self-explanatory, so I don't want to take much time. Clarity and transparency in the rules and regulation, knowledge of implementation of world-class choice-based credit and grading system, and participation in curriculum design and evaluation of system. So in my opinion, whenever you want to if you want to at the university level design a curriculum or design a particular evaluation system, the university has to conduct the workshop of all the stakeholders at very first go. But we don't have that kind of facility. Some of the people, authorities, they are preparing the curriculum, they are preparing the kind of syllabus, and they are coming to the college. After preparation, there is a conduct of orientation program. That is okay. But before the preparation of the syllabus, before the framing of the syllabus, it is very much necessary to conduct the workshop, and there should be at least one faculty from each and every college, each and every department. They have to contribute themselves very openly on the open platform. Someone has not taken it granted, or someone has not taken it criticized, but it's an open system, and that should be required as far as the very right and transparent system is concerned. Next, there is a importance of the evaluation in this curriculum. We are talking about the continuous comprehensive evaluation. So when you will get the continuous comprehensive evaluation, you will get this evaluation or this kind of evaluation when you have this kind of structure. When the curriculum is there, that there should be a total teaching learning program. In this total teaching learning program, the teacher has to understand, teacher has to provide, teacher has to teach each and every module of a particular course, of a particular program, and with the flow of the continuous evaluation. When you are going to, now suppose you can take the example of this COVID-19. Now university says that whatever the portion which we have covered till 13th of March, okay, so that particular, the examination will be conducted on this particular portion. Now, if suppose there are 6 modules in a particular syllabus and flow is not appropriate, so teacher will choose the module as per their own way, and then university is going to conduct the examination. Then who is going to set the paper? The paper will be set by the university mechanism, and in one college, if suppose there are 2 middle modules have been taught, lower module have been taught, or first 2 modules have been taught, then there is a disparity into the system, and that's why the teaching learning program in an appropriate manner, and it should be a very transparent and clear guidelines which is to be given by the statutory authorities of the universities. This is my suggestion. I'm not going to, because I'm the part and partial of this system, I'm not going to criticize anyone, so please don't take it otherwise. Then after this total teaching learning program, there is a syllabus, there is a material, there is a assessment, and there is a methodology. So when you are going to consider this all 4 aspects as far as the evaluation is concerned, execution is concerned, then you will get the effectiveness of this evaluation, and that is as far as the both teaching learning aspects, and that is called as the appropriate continuous comprehensive evaluation process, and which is a lack of this particular process in our system. Now, why continuous comprehensive evaluation? There is internal examinations. It is largely inappropriate for the knowledge society of the 21st century, and it's a need for innovative problem solvers. External examination system is required, no doubt, because that is the need of society, that is the need of globe. We have to solve the problem, we have to take all the people into the consideration. But at the same time, there is a drawback of the examination system also. Evaluation of scholastic learning only on marks. Even though today, as a teacher, if you look into this aspect, you have to give the 2 kind of things, that is marks as well as the grade. So grade and marks, if it is at the same time, I think why it is required, because there is no requirement of that, and because of that this is one of the drawback of this system. Ability to child not evaluated, ability of child not evaluated. Sometimes in the process there are so many kind of the abilities of the child. Some people are disabled, some people are, of course there are some rules and regulation at place, but it is not properly implemented and it is not properly evaluated. Limited techniques of evaluation do not identify learner's level of attainment. So basically, whenever the people are going to uh, people are going to understand the process and they are attentive. So in that particular process, the system should be evaluate them not on the basis of final performance, but through the process or through the continuous performance. It may be possible at the last day or the first day of examination, student may have some kind of problem. He may have a dysentery, he may have a very huge fever, he could not understand, he could not read, and that time if student is unable to attend for the examination, then he will be fail into that examination. That's why the attainment of that particular student throughout the semester need to be evaluated. Then obviously this is one of the drawback resulting in pass and fail, correct? So there is no, this is the labeling only. No one can pass, no one can fail. But our system is like that only. That is, someone is pass and someone is fail, and that's why it is very important this is one of the drawback of the system as pass and fail, causing frustration and humiliation. If suppose because of this pass and fail, students have taken effort throughout the semester, throughout the year, and suppose he will get the grade card or the mark sheet with fail, then student is going into the frustration, and that's why this is one of the drawback of that particular systems, you can say. Next, that is about the CCE, that is the in this particular continuous process. If you look at this, there is a two kind of there is a continuous and comprehensive process. In this, there is growth and development in the continuous process, because whenever you are adopting a continuous process, you can look at the growth and development, only two things. But the process is comprehensive. In this comprehensive evaluation process, there is a two aspects. One aspect is the scholastic aspect and other aspect is the co-scholastic aspects. Now scholastic means is the curriculum and co-scholastic is the co-curriculum. Is it? Mostly in the scholastic and co-scholastic approach, in these days after 2017, the UGC and UGC and AICT has given the guidelines as far as the different kind of clubs that you need to establish at the university level or the college level to understand and to give the opportunity to develop the hidden talent of the students, and along with that there should be a value education. Now in this value education, sanskara is getting everyone from the childhood, but when we are grow, then sanskara is going to be removed, or sanskara is going to be, everyone is going to be forget. So that's why at this point of time, even in higher education, I will say the education, the teaching of the value education, as far as the harmony is concerned, as far as the meditation is concerned, spirituality is concerned, happiness is concerned, enrichment is concerned, that all are very much necessary. And that's why the AICT has started this particular program from 2017. Some of the colleagues are there online from my earlier institution when I was a principal of NHITM Thane. At that time, 2014-15, I have implemented this particular system at that point of time in that institution. We have a different type of club at that time to explore the talent of the students. We have a spiritual program. We have an orientation program, whole day orientation with the different kind of thing, that is the exercise, meditation, and so many kind of things. So that is also very much important. So co-scholastic approach is also is one of the aspect of the comprehensive evaluation process. Then you can look at this particular thing, that is there is a regularity, there is a diagnosis, corrective measures, there is a retesting, feedback, and there is self-evaluation work. Now, if suppose I am giving you the lecture first time on this online Zoom, there are around 200 participants on this. When I'm giving this kind of lectures, I have to evaluate myself whether whatever the delivery of my instructions, delivery of my talk, it is correct or not. So there are some kind of parameters that you have to have yourself, and you have to have a self-evaluation. And on the basis of that, if tomorrow I am going to conduct any lecture of this kind, I may have some kind of improvement, because that improvement on the basis of this particular kind of things. That is, there should be a diagnosis, there should be a corrective measure, there should be a retesting, there should be a feedback, and obviously, finally, there should be a self-evaluation. So this is about the comprehensive evaluation system. Then there is another kind of the importance of the assessment in the curriculum. If you look at this, the central point where you have to do the assessment of your students, then you have to look into these 4 aspects. That is, you have to have effectiveness, you have to have an enhancement, you have to have a diagnosis, and you have to have a remediation. So that is very important. If you will not do that, or if you will not look into this aspect, you will not find a very good kind of the comprehensive evaluation process in the society or in the higher education system. Next, there are 2 type of things. Those are here. One is the scholastic kind of the higher education, where there is a formative and summative. Correct. Now, in this formative, we have to look at this in a different way, that we have to propound about the curriculum. We have to look at the only development point of view. And summative means you have to focus on the outcome. So whatever at the end of the session, if suppose I am teaching one particular course, and after teaching this particular course, the result at the outcome, the result has declared. So there will be a result in the percentage. You have to evaluate how many students have just passed, how many students have in a particular step, how many students are in a O+, A+, A. In this way, you have to have an approach, and that is called as the summative kind of scholastic education. So in this, you have to create your profile, setting the goal, planning to improve, and then implement the plan. So that is the everyone's responsibility, not the responsibility of university, not the responsibility of institution or management or the authorities, but there is the responsibility of ourselves. You have to look into the both aspects, and accordingly, we have to transform ourselves. So that is one of the next. I think this is about the kind of the formative assessment. So in this formative assessment is for both. It is not only for teacher, but it is for students also. So if you can take the example of the teachers, informs teacher where the need and problem lies. So we don't have that kind of process because of the many issues. But if you want to go for the particular scholastic process, then you have to, in this domain, you have to inform the teachers where the need and problem lies. That's why I always say to my teachers, you can come and sit in my lectures. If suppose I have any problems, I have any kind of the, I have to correct in a particular domain, you please suggest me. Sometimes if I will come to your lectures, don't be embarrassed. I will just to enjoy your session. And sometimes if I will find something lacuna, or if I want to say appreciation, I will definitely give that to you. Focus on problem area, helps teachers, give specific feedback, whatever just now I have explored, provide relevant support, plan the next step. These all are for the teachers, but at the same time, for the students, help students to identify for problem areas. Because just now, you might have have a understanding the lectures which is given by the Ashish Agrawal sir. I am very much thankful to him. I was not aware he has given a nice presentation as far as the project report is concerned. Now today it is helpful to my students. So students is also identify this kind of areas wherever they require the help. But in our system, the students are always the follower students are not the kind of the suggestive tool. So they have to prepare themselves as a suggestive tool so that we can improve the system. Provides feedback and support. So we require both feedback and support is very much required. Then help to improve performance, because whenever you have to improve, but at both the way, teachers as well as students, so their feedback is very much important and provides opportunity to improve the performance. So this is the kind of formative assessment in the scholastic comprehensive teaching learning. Then there is the diagnostic and remedial measure. So when you are going to diagnose, then and then you have a remedial things. If you don't have a diagnostic, then you cannot. If you can take the example, if suppose you are ill and if you will not go to the doctor, doctor can not diagnostic you. When doctor will diagnose, then he will say that what exactly happened to you, and then accordingly he will give you the right kind of medicine for the that is called as the remedies. So this is about or this is in the our education system also. Then we have a role of teachers. The role of teachers is very important in this particular process. If you cannot, I found many teachers, they are just like hidden in the system. They feel that I complete my MTech, now I am assistant professor. When I complete my PhD, I am associate professor. With certain experience, I am professor, but not doing anything. So I will focus or I will request much more on the upper cadre. When you will be professor, when you will be head of department, when you will be principal, your responsibility has reached from this to this. And in that case, you have to understand that what is my role as a teacher, how I can give the input to my teacher, faculty members to improve themselves. And that's why the role of teacher is very important. Use a variety, of tools, that is oral object presentation. And now it comes as an online presentation. Understand different learning styles and abilities. Share the assessment criteria with the students. Allow peer and self-assessment, because self-assessment which we have to do in many of the organization, very reputed organization. Once I was in the Amity University, I have created with the help of some of the Amity University administration, Honorable Vice Chancellor, and the authorities of the Amity University, 14 pages self-appraisal form. So every teacher has to fill up that 40 pages appraisal form every year at the end of the year. So what happened, and on the basis of your self-appraisal, the authority is going to evaluate you. So many of the institution is adopting this process, but this is just for the sake of the documentation is concerned. And when it is sake of the documentation is concerned, there is no improvement. So you have to take in a positive way. You have to take in a very healthy manner. Then and then there is a possibility of improvement in the system. Then allow for the participative teaching learning. Participative teaching learning means these teachers can directly go to the class of any teacher along with the students and enjoy the lectures. Other teachers can go to the higher teachers and enjoy the lectures. Student can raise their hand when the lecture is going on, ask the questions. So when there is a deliberation and there is a kind of interaction, then this is called as the participative teaching learning. But that is not possible on the online mode, because when I am giving you the unmute to everyone, then there will be a chaos. But in a physical way, that is possible. And that's why at the last end of the any kind of session, we used to provide the mic to everyone and take their questions in the deliberation mode. The focus on formative assessment, share learning outcomes and expectations with the students. So use clearly defined criteria, use example and exemplars. So whenever you are going to deliver the lectures on any particular area, either it's out of the box or either it's administrative or either it's a subject, we have to clearly define the criteria, define the goal, and with the help of with the help of example, we have to explore the particular kind of course or the topic. Then there is a role of teachers. The role of teacher is they give a specific feedback, then outcome-based learning, continuous assessment, incorporate student self-assessment, students keep a record of their progress, teacher keep records of students' progress, and transparency and effective in evaluation. So these are the benefit of formative assessment scheme. So when you can look at the formative assessment scheme, that generally we are following this particular kind of system. Then there is a summative assessment. So end of the term or end of the year, we have to take the exam. So we are in the summative assessment right now, and feedback on learning to teacher and parents. So this is called as the summative assessment. There is some scholastic plan where everything is in a one baskets or one group or one domain. That is, there is a subjects, whatever you have. It is not compulsory, and that's why nowadays you will find in the university curriculum also there are the different type of electives. The electives at the level of the department, elective at the level of the university, and there should be some kind of core courses which is compulsory for all the students. So compulsory, departmental elective, and the university elective is one of the area of the scholastic education and the scholastic comprehensive higher education system, and that is also one of the important component of the global teaching learning process, where subjects are there, skills is there, additional subjects are there, that is called as the electives. Then there is a summative and formative kind of the way of performing the education, and all there is a tools and techniques of this particular scholastic education. Now there is a, I will go first now, the scholastic assessment. This is just a kind of example which I have done for my earlier people, that is for arts, commerce, science people, as far as the examples are concerned. Then I will run just through. Now this in this particular slide where we are talking about this co-scholastic education, which right now implemented by the AICT in our all engineering colleges. There is a thinking, social and emotional skills. So when you can talk about the thinking skill, there is observation and conversation, that kind of techniques are required, and tools are self-assessment through checklist, then narrative records and indicators. So some of the indicators are always there, and that we need to follow. If you can take the example of, suppose you will on the road and there is a signal. If suppose there is a red signal, so you have to apply your thinking skill, and when there is a red signal, you cannot pass that red signal. You have to stop for some time, unless and until you will get the information that is about the orange signal, and once you get the green signal, then you have to move further. So these are some of the indicators that as a tool, or you have to prepare the checklist for various kind of thing if you want to think in a thinking skill manner. Then second is the social observation, social skill, which is of the observative type. It is observation only, checklist, peer assessment and indicators again. And third one is the emotional skill, that is on the techniques are observation and conversation. So it is a narrative record and again indicators. If you look into these scholastic areas, in this life skill, there are two A life skills. What is called as the 2A life skills? If you are going to upgrade with certain things, that is called as the 2A life skills. Even though in our Indian system, we have a communication skill, we have a English subjects right from the childhood, and students are learning that till their bachelor's degree or any master's degree. But if they want to go for their further education abroad, they have to upgrade themselves, and that is called as the 2A life skills. So that 2A life skill is also there in our Indian system also, and that is of this way, that is thinking, social and emotional. Sorry. When you can take about the thinking skill, then these are the indicators, and students demonstrate the ability to be original, flexible and imaginative. These are the important characteristics of the human being, so that you have to be original, you have to be flexible, and you have to be imaginative. If you don't have an imagination, you cannot do the research. You cannot think about. You cannot modify yourself. You cannot transform yourself. And therefore, the originality is must, flexibility is must, and imagination is must. You can raise the question, identify and analyze the problems. If suppose you are not going to understand anything, then you can ask why by raising the question. Then implement a well thought out decision and take the responsibility. So out of that, you have to implement a well thought decisions, and then you can take the responsibility of the others. Generate new ideas with fluency, because the ideas are in the mind. So whenever it is going to be click, you have to catch that idea and transform into the implementation. So that is the another indicators. Then elaborate, build on new ideas, because if you want to do something, then you have to build the particular kind of frame, and on the basis of that you can do something. There are some indicators, that is A plus, B plus, B, C, and on the basis of that you can evaluate the people. Then thinking skill, the indicators are student demonstrate the ability to, number one, identify, verbalize and respond effectively to others emotions in an empathetic manner. So there is empathy, sympathy, both are together. If you have empathy and sympathy, then you can run the system very well. Because you don't have empathy and sympathy, and then show must go on. If suppose you can take the example of any system, chalta hai chalne do. I am bothered about myself. I am bothered about my salary. I am bothered about my domain. In that case, you cannot improve the system, or you cannot improve yourself also. And therefore, have empathic and sympathic, and you can have an indicator in this manner. Get along well with others. Now, I have started this particular thinking process to do the workshop on online. I was very restless for last 15 days. What to do, how to do, there are lot many questions, because I'm doing first time, whether I can or I cannot, correct? But I decided that I have taken my team together, I have taken them in confidence, and I decided that I have to do it, and I am doing it. Now, there may be some possibility, there may be criticism, correct? Someone cannot appreciate, but I am not doing it for appreciation, I am doing it for my students. And suppose someone is going to be criticize it, I have to take that criticism positively. People knows I have a habit of that, taking a criticism positively, because I don't have a guilt of anything, because my very transparent, and my thought process is very transparent and ethical. But sometimes because of the criticism, there is a kind of heart rate, there is a hurt, and sometimes people can go to the extent of the suicide in the trauma and all. And that's why you have to make your habit to take the criticism positively if you are not wrong, and you try to improve in a small mistakes if it has happened. Then you have to listen actively. If you will not listen actively, then we cannot perform, we cannot demonstrate. Communicate using appropriate words, intonations and body language. So whenever we are speaking to the people, we have to have appropriate words, intonations and the body language. That is the very important aspect of the social skill. And third, there is a emotional skill, which is very important, because without emotions, there is no human. If suppose you can take the example of the human being, the good human being, well human being, or the normal human being is also with the emotional state of mind, and that's why the emotional skill is very important for everyone. The indicators of the emotional skills are, student, I would like to just here make a point. This is my presentation which I have made in 2000, probably 10, 11. Up in the, when I was in a university, I used to give this presentation in many of the colleges. These all indicators which I have considered that time are in my particular way of demonstrating as a teacher, as an administrator, and in 2017, the university and AICT has implemented. So I would like to make a point of this. So indicators for these emotional skills are: student demonstrators states the ability to identify own strength and weaknesses. People cannot say in front of you. There may be a few friends, they will come and tell you कि अरे विलास यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा तेरा गलती हुआ, next time improve कर. But most of the people, they will write down my weaknesses, they will keep their weaknesses in their mind, and if suppose they are talking to the third one, they will talk about my weaknesses, they will not talk about my strength. This is the one example which I would like to quote. So basically, you try to identify yourself, your strength and weaknesses, and accordingly you have to prepare your own kind of own kind of personality as far as the emotional skills are concerned. Be comfortable with self and overcome weakness for the positive self concept. This is positive self concept means if suppose sometimes there is a kind of we have some weaknesses, and if of that weaknesses I don't know, but someone will tell my weaknesses, so I have to create my concept or positive mindset. On the basis of that, I have to make myself comfortable, and I can overcome with the weaknesses with the positive attitudes. Then identify causes and effects of stress on oneself. So obviously stress is one of the important kind of things, and if suppose you want to release, and that's why yesterday we keep one session of for the uh, Kavya Pathan and the amusement session. So stress relief is very important. Then express and respond respond to the emotion with an awareness of the consequences. Sometimes you can take the example. I will tell you the example. Just now in the last semester, I had been to one of the class. There was some circular from the principal on the basis of the circular which he has received from the university of the social welfare, and there was a penalty of 500 rupees or something to that students. I had been to the college, and there was a responsibility of handing over of the head of department, and earlier head of department probably might have not placed it on the notice board, and because of that the student said and argued, sir, we don't know that it was not on the notice board and all. But when I verify, there was a little bit kind of the circular was sent on the WhatsApp group, but it was not placed on the notice board. So you have to in the domain of hard copy and soft copy like that. So you have to do the hardware as well as software. So when I had been to the class contest to the emotional skill, so that girl had just stood in the class and she has started the arguments with me. I understand her problem is the severe problem, and along with her 2-3 students have raised their hand, and then I asked them, you please come to my room and discuss your issue. That girl has come to my room and she has started crying. One letter, apology letter was in her hand, and when I asked her, what is your problem? Why you are not paying this? Because the government is asking for, because of the only that university circular we are going. Then she said that, sir, I am unable to pay because of my this particular problem. Then I have requested the principal. Principal has give the exemption of that particular fine to that girl. So basically, my emotions of that girl, I find out, I have identified. I asked that girl to come to my room and tell her difficulty. Her parents was separated. The mother was a homemaid. She's doing a kind of labor work at the various homes. So she's a homemaid, and she is not able to pay that particular fine. So these are some of the examples of the emotional skill. Many of the delegates, faculty delegate, principals are always facing this kind of the difficulties, but we have to take in a emotional manner. So the next is about we have to have attitude and values towards the program. So towards teachers, value system, towards college mates, towards environment. So these are the aspects of the attitudes and the values which is most important in the system. So sometimes even I am hot tempered, if sometimes I fired or I raise voice to my any colleague or anybody in the system, on a second moment I used to say sorry, or I have to relax that people because this is the need of the time. Then if you can go towards the teachers, there are teachers indicators. Show respect and courtesy at all times, because students are important the stakeholders of the system, and therefore you cannot take them otherwise, and that's why you have to have a empathy and sympathy. Sometimes they are wrong, it's our duty, just like their parents, to fire them, to give the soft indoctrination to them, but we have to have a respect and courtesy all the times for them. Demonstrative attitude that are positive and conducive to the learning. So you have to adopt the teacher learning process in a positive manner, in a conducive manner. Take criticism in the right spirit. If sometimes I may be wrong during my delivery, if someone student, sir, that calculation is wrong. This is the calculation. The value is 9.3, value is not 9.5. So in that case, we have to accept that, and we have to take in a right spirit and change that. So respect and follows class, teachers, and schools rules. Environment, and these are the indicators which you have to follow. That is, respect school property, or the respect the institutional property, is environmentally sensitive, participates in activities relating to care for the environment, and take the initiative and plans activities directed towards betterment of the environment. So the environment is the very important, because we are looking into the right now is COVID-19 area, what's problem which we are facing. So you have to take care of the universal intelligence, you have to take care of the universal intelligence, divine energy, and nature also. And next, value system indicators are understand the need for rules, harmony, happiness, honest and ethical practices, respects diversity, that is culture, opinions, beliefs, abilities, these all you have to understand. Then displays the commitment, works efficiently, respecting time, his, her, own, others, displays a positive attitude towards peers, and displays spirits of citizenship and healthy work culture. So these are the value system indicators for in general. Now, the exemption in examination and evaluation is concerned during this COVID-19 pandemic. You might be aware about it. The UGC has already uh, issued its guidelines as far as the how to conduct the examination, and what is the exemption shall be given to the students. On the basis of that, the government of Maharashtra has circulated their circular, and on the basis of that, the university has circulated their circular, and that circular has already reached to the particular institutions as far as this exemption is concerned and evaluation is concerned. I will just briefly go through it. There are decision makers. Now this is students' point of view is very important, because most of the students are not aware about the system, and even the parents also. And the system. There is an apex body as far as the UGC guidelines is concerned. UGC guidelines is concerned. The UGC has given a certain mandate that 50% internal marks and 50% earlier semester performance, which is required to evaluate for the lower semester students. 100% on the basis of internal marks for the first year students. Students should be promoted in the next year, and the examination of last semester will be conducted in July 2020. So students, those are in 8th semester, their examination will be conducted as per the UGC and university guidelines. Students wants to improve their performance, they can appear in the next examination. So that is the clear-cut guidelines of the UGC. As far as the university notification are concerned, the exam of semester 8 will be conducted in July 2020. The ATKT exams also I will give the example now. The student, those are in final year, last semester, that is in the 8th semester, and they are clear all the earlier semester, their examination will be conducted in the July 2020. As per the latest circular of the university. The student, those are regular in the 8th semester, but they are having a KTKT. Let us take the example, 5th, 6th and 7th ATKT suppose the students may have, that students KT examination will also be conducted along with the this 8th semester examination in July 2020. So try to understand. Don't take it otherwise, or don't take granted that all the examinations will be exempted. Now the syllabus for the semester 8 examination, that will be taken into consideration, the syllabus which has been completed till the 13th March 2020, that is before the lockdown. So that is the detailing about it. It will come into the university will issue the guidelines. There is attendance criteria this time, since lockdown is there is a lockdown, so there is no attendance criteria this time, and every teacher has to consider this lockdown period as a attended period. Lower semester, that is second, fourth and sixth, because these are also regular students, but that is the lower semester students. So lower semester students, I am talking about the regular students of
No voice, sir. No voice.
apply internal hello. So lower semester students will be evaluated by this way, that is 50% internal mark and 50% earlier semester performance. I will give the example. If suppose the student who is in second semester, he can be evaluated in this fashion, that his 50% performance can be taken from internal marks, that is IA1, which have been conducted earlier, and 50% earlier semester performance, that is the semester 1 performance. Semester 6 students can be evaluated in this fashion, that the 50% of internal marks, that is the IA1 of 6th semester, and 50% marks from the earlier semester performance, that is from the 5th semester performance, correct? So this, and in the similar manner for the 4th semester also, all students should be promoted in the next year, and those who will fail in the regular semester at this point of time, their examination will be conducted in 120 days from the date of commencement of next session. So this is the little bit clear guideline which is to be given by the university authorities. That circular has come on 18th May, that has circulated to the all colleges. Probably our principal might have received that circular, but on the basis of that, as a college authority, he will issue the circular for all the head of department, and accordingly the execution of this process will be there. But as far as this particular session, which I have decided to take on the journey of the examination and evaluation, to explore my views as far as this particular process is concerned with my views. So with this, I would like to end my session, and I would like to thank you each and everyone, that is the delegates, all the faculty members and students, for your patience hearing and given me the opportunity till our regular time at 2 o'clock. And with this, I would like to hand over the mic to our Dheeraj More sir or the Shivani for take it further and end the session.
Thank you so much, sir, for a very informative session you have given on the examination and the evaluation purpose. Now, I'm requesting all.
Any question? Any question from you?
Any question from the student side? The student can raise the hand, or you can give your question in the chat box itself.
There is one question in my chat box. What about evaluation result? Revaluation result. He is asking about the revaluation result. The revaluation results will be, I think that is not in my jurisdiction, but as far as my knowledge is concerned, when the our this process of evaluation as per the university guidelines will be comes into the force. At that time there will be a thought to that revaluation process, and students obviously those are pass in the revaluation process, they will get the benefit of that. If students are fail in the revaluation process or revaluation in the process of revaluation in a particular subject, then they have to appear for the examination in the month of July as a KT along with your semester 8 examination. Yes, I think there is a
Sir, there is a one more question is
Amol.
there. Hello?
Yes,
Hello? Hello?
I have provided the mic to Amol Ghude. Yes, Amol.
Sir, I have doubt regarding like if any student is absent in IA1 due to some medical reasons, so how to evaluate his result?
I cannot give my opinion because I am not the authority. But as far as this, because there is point number 12, which is in the circular, that is that says that की विद्यापीठाकडून स्वतंत्रपणे जाहीर करण्यात येईल. I mean to say the particular mechanism as far as the evaluation is concerned, that will be issued by the university in the further process. So by that time we have to wait for that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Sir, there is one question from B student. The portion till 13 May will be different for different colleges. So the syllabus will be made according to the which pattern?
Working on this particular area, as soon as they will find the university authority will issue the circular, and then according to that circular we have to proceed. That
Okay.
then our principal will issue the circular to
Okay, okay. Sir, there is
accordingly.
one more question from Ash.
Because still there are some questions that
There is one question from Ashutosh Upadhyay. He's asking how the
Portion
Yes.
till 13 March, not May.
how the pandemic is going to be affect the next semester.
next semester will start from 1st September. But now looking into this particular pandemic situation, what exactly the 19 says or the corona says, wait and watch for the situation.
Sir, there is one question from Prathamesh Chauhan. He's asking, sir, are the final decision about the final year exam are yet to come?
As far as the circular of university is concerned, it is finalized. Request to all the students, don't go with the rumor. Time the actual fact is that there will be an examination of 8th semester, so student has to prepare for the examinations.
Sir, there is no
Yes.
guideline for project and the oral examination. What is your opinion, sir, about it?
That examination will be online. There will be a final year project examination. Student will submit the project online with soft copy, and that will be evaluated. But in this regard, there will be a detailed guideline which will come through our principal, sir. So by that time, we have to wait. But student has to prepare their report in terms of the soft copy or in mode of the soft copy.
So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable inputs regarding the examination and the assessment.
Thank you, Dheeraj.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable input.
Thank you, Mangesh. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All the head of departments, authority of the Datta Mekhe College of Engineering and III, those have present for this particular session. And also, I am thankful to you all for giving me the opportunity to share my experience as far as the examination and evaluation is concerned. So, thank you so much, and thank you each and everyone.